Hello there, my name is Claire. Welcome back to my channel. For this week's video, I'm going to be doing a duplex in the For Rent expansion pack. I'm also going to be using some items from the Island Living expansion pack, but these items you see in this build are mostly from the For Rent expansion pack. I've had this pack for a very long time, but I am just now doing a build in the world that came with For Rent, and so first we're going to be starting off in like a common space hallway entry, and I do put a water heater and like electrical panels in the back of the hallway, so the entrance to both of the apartments are on either side of the entrance, and here is the water closet area and the electrical panel area. So we are just going to be adding those. I do make the room a little bit bigger to accommodate for the two electrical panels, and you might have realized that I am doing a lot of like multi-unit housing on my channel. I did not really plan to do this. If you're new to my channel, I've made a hotel 2 weeks ago and a apartment with 3 apartments inside of it in last week's video. If you haven't yet, you can go check those out after this video. But for those of you who might be a little bit tired of seeing this repetitive multi unit content, don't worry, there will be a one house, one unit build in next week's video. I'm going to be doing a zodiac build to keep up with this mini series on my channel. So we are going to be now in the first apartment, which has the green exterior, and we're going to be starting off in the kitchen. And I wanted to use the appliances, or I guess the countertops and cabinets that came with the For Rent pack. Their For Rent pack did come with like a rice cooker and like a tea kettle type of item, and I've used those in other builds, but I haven't really used a whole lot of these cabinets. So I wanted to make sure I used these cabinets and the bar stools, which I actually do end up getting rid of. I feel like the bar stools made the kitchen feel a little small, and so I ended up just putting a dining room table into this area. So we are going to be working on the living space now, and both of these units are pretty mirror image of each other, and I wanted to do that just kind of for simplicity reasons. I have been gone a lot this summer, like within the last few weeks, and so I've been like trying to just keep my videos very simple, and so we are going to be finishing up this living room area and going to be working on the dining room table. So if you do have any ideas for future builds that you want to see me do, it could either be like a style, or it could be like a number of Sims in a household. Please let me know down in the comments. It would really help me out. I do sometimes struggle with a idea for a build. I was originally going to have this week's video be a cute little farmhouse with a wraparound porch, but that did not end up happening. I was trying to finish a build in the world that came with Snowy Escape, but I ended up moving that build into the world that came with the For Rent pack, and so that's where this video idea came from. So we are going to be finishing up the kitchen and dining area and working on the half bath. Both of these apartments are one bedroom, 1.5 bathrooms, but for some reason in The Sims there's not like a half bathroom, so technically it is two bathrooms, but that's just minor details. We are now on the second level, which is kind of a loft bedroom workspace up here, and I wanted to use the bed and the side tables that came with the for rent pack. I feel like this bed is the closest item that I have to my real life bed, and so I do like using it. I do also sometimes forget it is an item because there are so many items in The Sims, and even if you just have the base game, there are still a lot of items with all of the updates that happen, and so we are just going to be working on a work area and going to be working on a little like wardrobe area. I didn't really have any like idea of like who would be living in this space. So if you have any ideas of who would be in either of these units, let me know down in the comments. So we are going to be adding some wall sconces. I don't put any decoration on the side tables because of that little like flower detail. It felt like it felt full enough, and so we are just going to be adding a little partition to separate the work area from the sleep area, and going to be adding a little like wood carvings, and so we are going to be just adding a few more details into this unit before we go into the upstairs bathroom. And I do use the toilet where your Sims have to squat on. I was at a family reunion recently and we went to Yellowstone. It was super fun. And my sister noticed that there's a sign that says, "Do not squat on the toilets." All the toilets were like sit down toilets. And we kind of thought that was interesting, but then we realized, like, oh, there's a lot of like Asian demographics that come to Yellowstone, and so that's kind of where that like don't squat on the toilet came from, is because that's like what they're used to, and so I had to add a squatting toilet in memory of that memory, and so now we're just going to be finishing up the bathroom area. It's a very simple space. I was going to have this area like a balcony area, but I ended up just making a bathroom. I felt like it needed a bathroom. It felt more useful than having a like walkway balcony in between of these two units. And so we are going to be finishing up this space and heading into the second unit, which I did put a few more of items from the island living pack in this build just to kind of help differentiate the space or like the two units. I was originally going to make this build just using the for rent pack, but I feel like having the island living pack just kind of helped give it some more variety of like who could be in which apartment, and so we are just going to be making this unit very symmetrical to the other unit, but I wanted it to feel different, so I put the TV on a different wall. I have two chairs instead of like one big chair, and I wanted the kitchen to feel different as well, so I'm going to be using the island from the island living pack, and I really wish that this pack came with some cupboards. I do use upper like shelving units, and so you're just going to be adding some tapestries and going to be adding a side table in between of the two chairs or couches, and then we're going to be adding some decorations into the kitchen. And I wanted to use the shelving that came with the for rent pack, but I also wanted to use shelving that came with the Island Living pack, and so luckily the colors are similar enough that I think it works well enough to like have it side by side. And I do keep the for rent shelving unit like kind of like out of the way, so if it does like kind of clash, it's like just kind of like around the corner, so it doesn't like bother me too much. Hopefully, it doesn't bother you too much. And now we're just going to be adding a dining space in the middle. Both of these units are pretty small, and I was going to make 4 units, but that just seemed a little overwhelming, and I didn't want to cram all of these items into one smaller space. So that's why I have like two like townhouses almost. So we are going to be basically copying and pasting the powder bathroom. And I just wanted to keep it simple. I feel like this is just kind of like a builder grade home almost. Like maybe it had like a recent upgrade, and so like the tiles new. They added white walls because that's like the trendiness right now. And so we are now on the second level and going to be using this bed from Island Living and going to be now adding a rug. And so I do have a second TV area up here for The Sims to like watch in bed, and I wanted some different skill building items in here, so I do also add a art easel. And so now we're just going to be adding some side tables and going to be adding this dresser. I feel like this dresser is very trendy right now. I feel like I've seen a lot of these like cabinets on the internet, on like social media. We are just going to be adding some separation into this room. I really did want to keep it open concept, but I feel like it just needed a little bit of division between the workspace and the sleeping space. So we're just going to be adding some artwork now. I feel like artwork when you're doing a limited pack build is sometimes the hardest part of a build because doesn't always fit the style that you're going for. It's like, say, if you're making a farmhouse build, there's only like a handful of farmhouse pictures, but if you're building like a farmhouse mansion, it's harder to use those handful of pictures because you don't want to use the same item like 5 different times. And so we are just going to be finishing up this like main area of the loft, and then we're going to be heading into the bathroom area, which is the final space of the interior of this build. And then we're going to be going into a shared backyard area between the two units. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I was a little bit nervous of doing this type of video because I feel like some people are very like accurate when it comes to building Asian inspired homes, and I am not that familiar with an Asian style home style, and so I hope you enjoyed watching. We're just going to be now in the backyard. It's going to be having a grill and lounge area back here and a few other things. So if you enjoyed watching, please don't forget to hit that like button on your way out so more people can see this video. And if you want to see more content from me, I'm also on Instagram and I post new videos every single Tuesday. So I'll see you all next week for another Sims 4 video. And if you have any build suggestions for me, make sure to leave them down in the comments. My gallery ID is green_rose_sims, and all the information will be down in the description for this build, and I hope to see you all next week for another Sims 4 video. Bye!